what's up? Red Panda Anthem. Red Panda, what's good?
So Troy, let's get into the first topic.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the fall of the British pound.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that a lot of attention has been made. I made a post put on Instagram. It got a lot of attention. We're coming to London, so it's something that's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the lowest, I believe, that the British pound has fallen to the dollar ever. I think it's at $1.07.
Yeah, it got as low as 103
to every $1. So it's almost equal to the dollar. And from my understanding, this is for a variety of different reasons, but there's some economic issues right now. They're trying to have tax breaks and some incentives for businesses, but people are saying that's only going to really impact the wealthy. Of course, we know that the Queen just died. They're having, some economic troubles as all of the world is having.
Mm-hmm.
And it also is a sign of the dollar surging. So the dollar is actually very strong right now. It's strong in a while. So with the dollar being as strong as it's been in a while, and with the pound being as weak as it is in a while, this gets you to the point where you're actually almost equal with the British pound and the US dollar. So why is this important? And what does this tell us about the future?
Yeah, I'm gonna lay it out. I'm gonna lay some things out. I'm no economist, but y'all know I like to read a lot. So, and Ian, you can step in at any point, but I'm gonna just break it down. So the part that was the first alarm was that they try to create this debt finance tax cut. And so really what it means is that they need to borrow money, right? Like they need to borrow money, but they have to go through foreign markets to do it. If you borrow money, that puts you in more debt. More debt equals higher inflation. Obviously, we can see that the world, obviously we're going through inflation here. It's also happening throughout the entire world. So that's the first thing. The other part of it is that there are increased energy costs that are on the way. And we spoke about it over the past 2 weeks. We spoke about the past month, this war in Ukraine and Russia. Obviously, we talked about the usage of energy in Europe and where they're getting the energy from. That doesn't help the situation. Now, the other part is that the Bank of England, just like the Fed raised 75 basis points last week, the Bank of England raised their basis points by 50 basis. So that's like 0.5%. Now,
yeah,
most people thought should have been higher. Just like people and economists were predicting that the Fed was going to raise it 1 percentage point. They didn't. They had it at 0.75. The problem is when you do it slow, is that you have to keep the rates higher for a longer period, right? And so when you do that, now you're in recessionary periods for a longer period of time. So that's the third thing. Now, the other part, which is interesting, is that, and this is something I had to even just research today, was like this debt to GDP ratio. So like, I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting. So it's at its lowest, its highest mark in a long time. And so what that really just means is how much government debt based upon how much gross domestic product is being borrowed. So how much money do they need to borrow to fulfill debt?
but wait, on Instagram, I thought debt was good. Go ahead.
So here's what's going to happen, right? Again, I'm no economist, but just looking at this, right? If you're you have to borrow money, right? The first thing is that somebody has to say, we're here to lend the money, right? As that debt to GDP ratio changes, it really is like their credit worthiness. How worthy are you of paying this money back that you're going to lend? Now, if the entire world is in the economic crisis, it doesn't make it an easy task to say, all right, we're going to lend you this money. So a couple of things are going to happen. If they don't get the money, then obviously something has to change. And what's going to change is what we're seeing now. The level of their currency or the value of their currency is going to have to decrease because when they borrow, it has to sustain itself. I'm no economist. This is just my take on it. Ian, you can add.
I want you guys to put in chat, do you want to seem smart or do you want to get rich? And I'll give you my answer based on that. 5, 4, suspense, 2, 1. For those who want to get rich, listen, British pound has been going down since 2007. 2008, it had as they would say, a money master of the game, a precipitous decline to the downside. Also, in 2014, 2016, and now it's just a continuing down cycle. I wish Jessica could be on here. I know she's a few days away from
I thought the same thing, man.
delivering a bundle of joy, right? But if you look, the British pound, the euro, also if you go look at the Swiss franc, and I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. If we look at the African rand, a lot of them are having issue. Now we can get the kind of conspiracy side out of the way. There were people who were trading in British pounds to the downside weeks prior to her passing because there was rumblings that she had either already passed or was like on the way making her transition. So even though the news is reporting some of these newer issues that they've been faced with, the British pound has been tumbling for a long time, and anybody that's ever traded Forex in the last 10 years, they have known that the direction of the British pound has been down for years. The last time the British pound was to the upside was 2006 and 2007. And when that housing crisis hit, things switched and they began to run to the downside. So this is kind of like the nail in the coffin in that move. I know some people that have been like multi-year swing trades on the British pound to the downside. Always, always, always look at direction first before you look at news if you want to get rich. If you want to seem smart, great. There's other shows you can tune into for that. But we're here to make you money and have you be free. Look at that long-term chart first, then see what the direction is. And then I think it'll be very clear why this is like the final nail in the coffin for that asset class.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. You said what do you mean the final nail in the coffin for the asset class? Because the British pound is
what value does it have? And I'm not saying this to be spicy, but let's get the views up. If
let's get this going.
Who is actively saying the British pound at some point is going to be the predominant currency?
Nobody.
Yeah.
But it's a highly respected currency.
Yes, it is, and we'll be there soon.
It's extremely strong. It's one of the world's strongest economies, and it has a lot of psychological reverence outside of just when you look at the British pound and you look at Great Britain, the United Kingdom. It's a small country, but its influence is tremendous.
So is Facebook's at 300, and I said Meta was gonna fall. And everyone said, man, Ian got to take the Ciroc out that pineapple juice.
But you said, but Meta's not dead though.
Dying. Kid the dog, everybody dying. No lie. I'll be there soon. Alvin, how are you, Brian? How you doing? I'll be there to save it. I can come this week if y'all want me to. Put that on the internal chat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you said that part about if you watch the trend, like, and that's something that Peter was talking about, like, yo, follow the trend, like that. It's the age-old, like, adage, like the trend is your friend, but like, yeah, it's been trending down. The interesting part is I was watching like some of the UK analysts. So I started watching their news. Like when I saw that news report, I said, let me go watch what they're saying in the United Kingdom. But a lot of the economists were already pitching at the pound being like $1.09 or $1.07. The fact that it got to 103 was like, oh, wow, that's what made the story. But it was already on a decline. Even some economists had it at 97 cents. So they've been prepared for it, right? They knew it was happening.
Can I be honest? Remember the days when like NFTs and crypto were going to save the world and liberate all the people and be the second coming of Moses? Every asset class over the last 10 years was overinflated. Now we are getting to the real prices of where you should buy them. Like for everyone who does wholesaling, or if you're a real estate investor and it's like, yo, this $600,000 house burned down. They don't even want it. They're like, man, baby, just give me 80 grand. You like, this is where the entire market is right now. Private equity, public markets, angel investor market. I don't know if you guys read the reports, but Facebook, for the first time in history, advertising budget has been cut. So now the influencer market is hurt. So the people that used to get 60 grand to advertise lip balm, they now can't get $5,000 deals. When I kept telling everyone in 2021 to study every crash, put yes in chat if you remember me saying that. And I'm like, this is going to look a lot like 2007 and 91 and 2001, all rolled in one. And here we are. And everyone said I was crazy about Evergrande. And here we are. Now that's one of the biggest bubbles. Even the Countrywide CEO was on an interview last week saying that this bubble is going to be bigger than 2007 and 2008. I think internationally we are in such denial that if we don't get this thing under control, whatever the phrase is for in between recession and depression, kudos to Spike Lee. Whatever is in between that, that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed.
So
Close up spot.
how did your camera just move like that? Is it like
AI face tracking.
Oh, face
Shout out
tracking?
Dennis. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, okay. And now,
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah, I got to do the Tom Cruise Minority Report. I got to see how to push it back. If I can do that, that'd be fire.
So, all right. So before we leave this topic, how does this? All right, let's talk about the surging dollar though too. So the dollar is surging.
Oh, real quick, can I say this? If I was a swing trader, I would buy the British pound right now though, and hold it to 129 to the upside. Because I know people like you always fear mongering and don't give an answer. I would hold it. Yeah, right now, if it got back to $1.06, I would hold it to $1.30. Probably take 18 months, but if I was going to swing trade it for 12 or 13 months, I would definitely buy now.
There you go. On the floor.
Long term only, no options. Long term swing.
The dollar is surging. Most people might think that that's a good thing, but that might not necessarily be a good thing. So what does that mean for the shape of the economy?
I was going to talk about it later, but whenever there's a surge in the dollar, you guys don't have to take my word for it. You guys can go look at the article from a Morgan Stanley analyst. Usually disaster follows when the dollar surges this fast.
And explain to them why.
I want you guys to do a homework assignment. If any asset class shoots up 50 or 60%, what normally happens 12 to 24 months after? We've seen it with NFTs. We've seen it with crypto. We've seen it with Black China's reported OnlyFans earnings, which was not true, right? Anything that increases that, you put it in chat, you want slow and steady gains. Any company that goes up 500, 800% normally tumbles down at the same pace.
Yeah,
so whatever the volatility that you take on is the drawdown that you're going to have as well.
And it's a sign that people are not confident in markets. And more people are going to cash. And it's a safe haven. And people aren't confident in the real estate market. They're not confident in the stock market, and they're not confident in crypto.
Which I don't blame them right now.
There's a lack of places to invest your money right now for at least for short term, rate of return. So, the dollar is more attractive than putting it into the market right now.
Putting it to the side under the mattress.
This that Red Panda Anthem. Ian, what's up? This that Red Panda Anthem. Red Panda, what's good? Red Panda Anthem. Your boy going up. I know they can't stand it.